Welcome to Chica's Kitchen. This is Ani, and today I'm going to bring you along as I make a Puerto Rican dish called Pastelon. There's many different types. This one is going to be made with rice. So I'll bring you right back. Okay, well, I've meets my station for the rice. You're going to require some curdled milk, just about a half a cup, depending on how much of that taste you want in the pastelon. I like just a hint of that sourness. A lot. I mean, it could get bitter. I mean, it's like curdled milk. It's sour milk. So, to each his own. Use as much or as little as you like. So I got about a half a cup of that. I've got half a cup, or rather a quarter cup, my bad. Half a cup of whipping cream, I should say. I've got half a bar of the sour cream, or cream cheese. I've got 2 cans of evaporated milk. I've got a cup of sour cream. I've got 2 cups of shredded mozzarella. I've got this is just my added kick to it because I like the zing. This is a cup of, or rather half a cup of ranch. I like to add that in there. And then here are 2 tablespoons of salt. So that's what you're going to need for the rice. And I'll show you the rice in a minute. I've had the rice soaking since this morning, since 6 o'clock this morning. So it's going on about 8 hours. This is the meat filling. And I'll do a separate video on how I season my meat, I promise. Alright, so I use this turkey breakfast sausage. This one is really good. It's got so many little spices in it. It's got just a very mild kick to it. And I use the ground beef, the 7327. Or you use whichever kind you want. But I do that because it's got a lot of flavor with the grease. And then I strain it. And there you have it. So those are the ingredients. I've measured my station. And I'll bring you over to the rice. And I'll show you what I've got going on in that pot. Okay, here's the rice. And as I said, I've had it soaking. I washed it out. And when you're dealing with rice, you want to rinse it out at least 5 times so that the water, or until the water runs clear. And I've had it soaking since 6 o'clock, so it's going on 2, so it's been about 8 hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse it out one more time, put some fresh water, and get it to boil with the salt. And I'll show you step by step. Okay, I'm back. Now, in here, I went ahead and rinsed it out one more time and added about 2 inches of water above the rice, or about 1.5 inches, I guess. Rule of thumb usually is 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice for cooking, but we want this rice to be soft and mushy because we're going to use it as kind of almost a paste, kind of like how you would use a lasagna pasta noodle. Okay, it's going to be a layer and packed in, and then you're going to have your meats, and then you're going to have another layer, and you can make as many layers as you want. I usually just do the bottom layer of rice, center layer of meat, and the top layer of rice, and then I top it off with cheese. But do it as you would like. If you want to make 3 layers of rice and 2 layers of meat in a small pan, or big, you got a huge family, to each his own. What I have in here, however, is 4 cups of rice. That's enough to make a pan. Let me see if I got a good sized pan to show you. One of these. This one, it'll make this. This one doesn't say the size. And I can't remember what it is. But I got this from Pioneer Woman, by the way. I love her stuff, her products. See how pretty? But this is the pan. I'm going to put 1 layer of rice, the center layer of meat, top it off with a layer of rice, and then some cheese. And this, the width of this, or rather the width, or from the bottom to the top, the height, that's what it is tall enough for me to just do the 3 layers, 2 of rice and 1 of meat. Okay, so if you want more layers, get a deeper baking pan. Alright, but anyway, so I've got 4 cups of rice in here. That should be enough for that. Now what we want to get this rice cooked and kind of, for it to bloom and kind of mushy, like overcooked almost a little bit. And then we'll add our milks. We add the cheese at the very end, the shredded cheese at the very end, because when you mix it, it kind of sticks everywhere. So you want to mix it at the very end. And then you let it sit and cool, because you need it to be workable. You have to be able to work with it as you transfer it into the pan and layer it out. You'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get this baby to boil, front burner. I'm going to put it on a number 6 to get a good boil going. And, oop, I don't want to drop you all. And I'm going to add my salt. Now, here's the thing about the rule of thumb with salt, okay? It is to taste. And you have to remember that your other cheeses and products that you're adding will also contain salt. So I'm going to start off with 2 tablespoons. I'll taste the water, because as the water tastes is how the rice is going to taste. And I'll see if it's to my liking, if I need more. And if I need less, I'll just rinse it and start over. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put that in there. That's 2 tablespoons of salt, table salt. Got a little speck of something in there. Alright, so stir that in there really well. And I use large grain, or what they call large grain these days. I'm telling you, the world's getting so small as it's getting so bigger. Isn't that strange? It's like, you ever see the eggs anymore? I tell you what, eggs, they're like, the large look like medium. Extra large look like large. Jumbos look like extra large. You know, mediums look like small. And I hate to see what smalls look like. I haven't checked those out yet, because I cook a lot, so I don't go for small eggs. But if you are a single person living alone, and usually small is good. Even when I was single and living alone, I've always bought extra large or large eggs. But I've only used one, you know. And but then back then they were the right size. I mean, large was like, phew. Large alone, so to get extra, I don't even think they had extra large back then. I think they made that up. This was just a hair bigger. Let's call it extra large, you know, that kind of thing. I'm just joking. But Let me go ahead and get that salt in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and taste this and see. Oh, yeah. So, for 4 cups of rice with 2 inches of water, 2 tablespoons of salt is perfect. Well, it is for me. You all will soon find out I'm not a big fan of salt in foods, only because I do a lot of seasoning cookings, like Creole style, and most of the ingredients I use already have, they have so much flavor. I'm Puerto Rican after all, so we cook with nothing but flavor. Sofrito, ajíes, achote, sazón, adobo, you get it? So all those ingredients already have salsa. I don't even... A container of salt lasts me about 6. I used to have to throw it out, and get a new one because I just don't trust its age. It's that kind of thing. So I'm not a big salt person, but in rice you definitely do need salt, okay? Especially white rice. Now, if it was red rice, Spanish rice, arroz con gandules or something like that, rice with pigeon peas or anything kind of flavorful, then no, I wouldn't add any extra salt. Alright, so we've got that going on. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a boil, and I'll bring you back as soon as it boils. Okay, well, my rice is boiling. It's got a good boil going, and once you see it the water starting to evaporate, see that? Look at that. It's already blooming. You want to go ahead and give it a good stir. Then you're going to want to lower your heat. I'm going to put it on a 2. And we're going to start adding in our products here. First being the curdled milk, because you want it to get that flavor. Get that up in there real good. Okay. Then we're going to put in our whipping cream. Always a pleasure doing business with the whipping cream. That stuff is so good. So fattening, but so good. I try to use it sparingly in my dishes. Let me lower my meat here. Got my meat going on in the other pan. Got to strain this a little bit and then add my sauces. And I'll show a video on how I make my meat. But for this dish, you go ahead and saute and do your meat, season your meat the way you like it, the way you would for with the consistency, the thickness of a meat sauce for a lasagna spread. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. Okay. Then we're gonna add our cream cheese. Love the cream cheese. Love all this stuff. I'm such a foodie. How many fellow foodies do I have out there? Say, hey, I am Ani. Ani's being silly this morning. But, if any of you have ever made this dish before, and you make it a slightly different, like if you have some variations to it. Now, there's different types of pastelons now, don't get me wrong. This is just my version of it. But if any of you have made a pastelon with rice, let me know. Or when you make one, take a picture of it and post it. I'd like to see it. And give me a recipe. Give me a recipe. Alright. let's go ahead and stir this up. And don't worry about melting down the cream cheese, because in all this heat and the slow cook, it will melt into the rice. You just have to make sure you keep stirring it. But rule of thumb, again, I love that phrase, rule of thumb. Before you cook, you're supposed to have your eggs at room temperature, and your cream cheese is at room temperature, and your butter, unless calls for something different, should all be at room temperature. So it could blend right in. I'm gonna lower this to a low. Alright, so that cream cheese, you see that consistency? See that, how it blooms? And it's almost a mushy stage. Yeah, that's what you want. Alright, so we're going to add our sour cream next. A cup of sour cream in there. All this delicious richness and goodness in this. Believe me, it is worth it. It comes out popping. Taste buds be jumping and partying in your mouth. And I'm going to add the ranch. This is my added, because I like the little kick it gives to it. Kind of balances that tardiness or the sourness of the sour milk, curdled milk. The little ranch. And it gives it a little flavor. I'm all about flavor. Okay. So we want to stir that really well. Incorporate that really well before we add our milks. Okay? Alright, now, here we go with the evaporated milk, guys. 1 can. I use fat-free. Use whatever kind you like. I use that Great Value from Walmart. Fat-free. I'll turn my meat off here for a minute while I'm with you guys on this rice. I don't like hard pieces of ground meat when I bite into my Pastelon. Yeah, that meat looks awfully good. It smells delicious. So. And on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Chica's Kitchen, if you can find it, go find it. Not if you can find it. Go ahead and go find it. There's a video on there. Like I said, I have close to 40 videos, about 37, 38 videos, something like that. And there's a video on there on how to make sofrito. And I also call out or name the Spanish spices that we use. But sofrito is like the main ingredients to our cooking. You got to have it. It's not authentic without it. Puerto Rican cooking without it. Creole. We cook with cumin, turmeric, sazon, saffron, achote. This is let me show you. Achote oil. Okay, I have a video on how to make that too. On my Facebook page. Just go on the Chica's Kitchen and look it up. I can't guarantee you that the videos are up to par because it is Facebook, and as I explained on my very first video here on YouTube, yeah, it's not, it wasn't the best experience uploading. I lost a lot of info, or the voice would disappear. I don't know where it would go to. But it would mute my videos towards the end on some. Even though on my phone everything played right. It's just one of those things, I guess. But it brought me here to YouTube to you guys, so I'm happy about that. Alright. Alright, so we've got that evaporated milk in there. So now what we want to do is we want to let it simmer down some before we add our cheese. And then we're going to let this bad boy cool off. And that's all that is to the base of your pastelon. Rice pastelon, I should say. Like I said, we have so many different variations of pastelons. So that's kind of absorbing really nice. I'm going to add the cheese. And I also, which I don't have any right now, I like to add ricotta in here. You know, it's your kitchen. Get creative. I always advise anyone watching, any foodies out there in the kitchen, getting creative. Get creative. Yeah, it's your kitchen. You know, add what you like. Don't add what you don't like. Like in the meat part, you can put jalapenos and make it nice and spicy, have a nice kick to it. You can put pepperoncinis. I'm going to add some pimento olives. I like to slice them up and add them in there in Puerto Rican style. Okay, I can see the spices from the ranch dressing. That means I've got enough in there that'll flavor it. And you see what I mean about the cheese? Yeah. You don't want to put that in the beginning because then stirring, oh my God, it'll drive you mad. It sticks to your spoon. So you put it in at the end when you're done and then turn everything off. The lid on it. Now you could put this in the fridge if you want to let it cool off. But I'm just going to let it sit in the back burner. And the reason why I could put my fingers on these handles, guys, is because this is a heat resistant aluminum pan, so it's made for that. The handles are, it's got protective handles. So, because I will move this over here, you know, and turn this back on to about a 2. And this is my meat that's going to go in there. Like I said, I'll do a video on how I season my meat. Although you might be able to find one that shows all the spices and stuff I put in here. One thing I do that's not Puerto Rican style to my meats, my stews, my beans, my sauces, I always add about maybe 1/8 of a cup with 1/8 of a cup of brown sugar. Could be dark, light, doesn't matter. The brown sugar helps tone down the acid levels. Especially when I make my taco bake. Oh, do I have a taco bake recipe on my Facebook page? Like I said, all of those recipes, I haven't learned how to extrapolate them from Facebook to put them on YouTube. So I am going to have to redo most of them, or all of them, I should say. If anybody knows how, let me know. Like I said in my other video, my first video, I've done some research and found that you have to go through a third-party website, one that extrapolates extrapolates videos and such things from Facebook. I don't know about that. So, I don't want to get in trouble. Or, I don't trust it, really. Is what it is. But, anyway, so you get your brown sugar in there. Now, this does have a little bit of steak sauce in it, about a quarter cup. So, and it's got the diced tomatoes with green chilies for a little kick. I don't like a lot of hot. I'm not a spicy kind of person. I don't like hot. A little mild is okay, but what I always say is I like to taste my food, and when my taste buds are burning and on fire and numb, I can't taste my food, I get mad. Because I want to taste the goodness. I don't want my tongue on fire where I can't taste nothing. So I'm not a fan of hot and spicy. But I will do a little bit mild. So the green chilies and the diced tomato can, of diced tomatoes rather, that's enough for me. And sometimes I'll do a little bit of pepperoncini, little slices or dices of pepperoncinis on top of my foods, but very, very little. I can only take so much of that too. Alright, so I've got the rice done, and I'm letting it cool off now, and I'll bring you back when I'm ready to assemble the pastelon. Hey guys, I'm back. I'm thinking that the rice has cooled off enough to where it's workable. So I'm going to go ahead and make that attempt. Let me get my little achote oil pot out of here. Now, I've greased with some spray the bottom of my casserole pan. Okay? So, what we're going to do, see that? That's why you want to wait till it cools down, because that cheese, I'll tell you, it gets everywhere if it's still too hot. And you kind of pat it down. Start off in a corner. You start off wherever you like, really. Make sure you have your gloves on, because it will get messy and a little warm to touch. This kind of helps. And always wear your gloves when you're cooking for or outside of, people outside of your family. If it's your family, it's fine. Like it's for me and Hubster, it's cool. But if I was having some kind of an event and I was cooking for people, oh, you better believe I'm going to wear gloves. It's courtesy, if nothing else. It's just out of courtesy, and you want healthy people to enjoy your foods and come back for more. Maybe. Some people's like, no, don't come back for more. Stay away. I'm not feeding y'all. Just kidding. Sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes, believe it or not, even though I love to cook, it's just a passion for me. I get up in the middle of the night inspired by something, and if I don't make it, I can't sleep. That's the way it is. I've got to go ahead and do it. At least try it. Otherwise, I can forget about sleeping until it gets done. That's me. Until the mission is accomplished, no rest for the weary. And, but once in a while, I crash and I'm like, oh, I don't even want to see a kitchen. That happens to any y'all? No. Not you all. Okay. Go ahead and mix this up a little bit. This is my meat sauce. Now, if you don't get your meat sauce as thick as this, you may want to go ahead and whip up a little bit of cornstarch or flour with some cold water and whip it up real good so there aren't any lumps, as we call them bromos in Spanish, and get it thick. That way it'll spread really evenly. You see that? It doesn't leak everywhere. Doesn't run, I should say. Leak. That'll leak too, I guess. And the good thing about this is that any leftover meat, you can save it and put it in the freezer and save it for when you make chili. Just add it in there. Yep. See? I want to make it about an inch of meat. I like a lot of the meat. Well, you know, it's going to have 2 layers of rice, the one on the bottom and the top. So you're going to want something to offset that, all that rice flavor. I think this is just coming out beautifully. I think I'm going to do the whole thing. Yay, I made just enough. Now, some people at this point will whip up an egg to hold it all together. See, that's about an inch of meat on top of about an inch of rice. And then we're going to top it off with about an inch of rice. Or half an inch, whatever. If you don't want a lot of rice, that's fine. Whatever leftover rice you have, you can save them, and you can actually use this rice in so many other ways. I usually make little rice balls with meat inside, kind of like the same thing like this, but with little rice balls. And then I'll egg it and bread it and deep fry it, or just throw it in the oven. Yeah, that's good too. Meat-filled rice balls. I bet nobody's ever heard of that. Or maybe you have, who knows? Maybe I'm the one that's been less traveled. Aha. But anyway, just you can freeze this, whatever's left over. And what I like to do also is I like to put a little bit of Parmesan Romano cheese. And let me go ahead and grab that. My husband loves his cheese. You get this at Walmart, 4C's home style. Parmesan Romano, the Italian flag colors. Italiano. In New York, they have an area called Little Italy. They have a section for Irish. Everybody has their own little section. They have Spanish Harlem. And I'll tell you, the best foods, you know, you want to talk about authentic? Yeah. Go to their spots. So, put some of this Romano cheese in there real good. In there. Alright. I have to get some more from Hubster, he'll kill me. I have another one in the fridge. I always have to double up on everything because I hate to run out. Okay, now on this part you want to be very careful applying the top layer because you don't want it to splatter and get that meat sauce all over the place. You have to be very gentle with it. So what I would do is just spoon it in and then use a spatula, a silicone spatula, and even it out. And this is where the gloves come in. You can handle it even though it's a little bit hot. See? And just gently, please be gentle when you do this. You don't want it splattering everywhere. Kind of flatten it out before I put it in there. You don't want mountains of it. Flatten it out and dollop it in there. Flatten it out and dollop it in there. Okay. Alright. And then you just kind of fill in the spots. You can use a spatula. And just spread it gently. And then what you want to do is just fill in anywhere you see a little opening. Now remember, I usually avocado cheese. I usually keep that in my refrigerator, and I think because I've already cooked all my Thanksgiving food, it's in the freezer. That way I just take it out, let it thaw, or heat it up in the oven. Come Thanksgiving Day, and I don't have a whole bunch to do, and I don't get wore out from cooking all day, that I can't enjoy my company or family because I'm too wore out. Yeah, so I pre-cook my meal and freeze it. So everything's frozen. Turkey's done and sliced, and I've got dressing, I've got stuffing. Yeah, there's a difference. And some people like stuffing in the bird, and some people like the cornbread dressing with sage on the side. You know, I've got my baked macaroni and cheese. Oh, is there ever a recipe for that on my Facebook page? You should. Let me tell you something. That baked macaroni and cheese has been the talk from last year. And I did that recipe, I tweaked it, and I did it again at the Feast of Tabernacles this year in October. And then last year I didn't do any green beans. What I did a green bean casserole instead. This year I did a big old crock pot full of green beans. I'm going to set my oven to bake at 375. And let that start heating up while this sets. It has to set. So once the oven gets done heating up, this should be ready to be thrown in. Then I bake it for about 20 minutes at 375. Take it out, put some shredded cheese on there, Colby Jack and cheddar. and let it melt on its own, and that's it. It's done. But back to what I was saying, the green bean casserole, I made a crock pot, with the potatoes and stuff. But what I did was I did it with smoked turkey wings and smoked turkey tails. My goodness. That was the talk this year at Feast of Tabernacles. So I've got all that done all over for Thanksgiving. It's all on there. And we're going to have a silent contest to see which one gets the most reviews or raves. The Baked Mac that I do in my crock pot, or the, not crock, crock pot, or the green beans with the smoked turkey tails and turkey wings that I do in my crock pot. Yeah, my Dutch oven is what I meant to say. The baked macaroni and cheese I do in my Dutch oven. And the green beans I do in a crock pot. Slow cook them. Alright, well, that's it for now. I'm going to wait till the oven heats up and I'll bring you guys back when it's done. And I'll let you take a look at it. Hey guys, I came back for just a second. I still got about 14 minutes on my casserole there, my pastelon. This is the tray that I had all the cookies in. Husband just brought it back. See that? All gone. They were good. Alright, well, my timer is going off. That means the pastelon is done. Since everything's already been pre-cooked, it just needed to heat up and come together. All the cheeses and stuff. So I'm going to leave that in there for a second because I'm going to slice up my bread. I made this bread, Italian bread, garlic and herb. See how pretty that is? Garlic and herb. Do you all see the herbs in there? Can you see it? Pretty, yeah. Yeah. And you all know my trick with the celery stick. If you watch my videos on Facebook, to keep fresh-made bread, homemade bread fresh longer, you put a celery stalk in it and you change it out once a week. This was nice and green. Look how light it's getting because it's absorbing all the stuff that would otherwise mold your bread. It absorbs it. So anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and slice this up, throw this in the oven so it'll toast because I'm serving this with some EVOO and minced garlic. Oh, it's so delicious. You dip your bread in there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back when I get the casserole out of the oven.
You better got the brand new dang oven.
Okay. Alright, and there you go. It's got a little bit toasty on the edges. That's what we want to see. And now it's time to add the cheese. And I've got shredded Kobe and Monterey Jack. That's what I'm going to use. Use whatever kind of shredded cheese you want. And then just sprinkle that on there. As much as you want. I love making casseroles because with Hubster, he works hard, and he's a big guy. Not fat big, he's just big. Tall and just bulk and muscular, chest out to here, just big guy. And so he eats a lot. And he requires a lot of protein and stuff for the kind of work he does too. A lot of carbs. He can do all that. I can't. I look at a carb and I'm 5 pounds heavier. But anyway, so I like making casseroles because they last long. I usually make two 2 dishes, like maybe on a Sunday or so, or Monday. And then that'll last him for the week for lunch and for dinner. He just cuts into it when he gets, hungry, and it serves him for lunch too. Outside of the days where he fasts, he's got dinner and he's got lunch for work. So usually 2 casseroles really does it, and then I don't have to worry about being in the kitchen other than to just, when I'm inspired, to just go ahead and test around my recipes, But I do end up having to make bread a lot. He loves the bread. I make Italian bread, I make the Amish bread, I make Parker House rolls, I make Hawaiian King rolls to die for. There are videos on Facebook at Chica's Kitchen that shows you step-by-step on those if you all want to check it out. But I am going to remake those videos, reshoot them, so that I can upload to YouTube. I've already said that. So. But you see how you just sprinkle the cheese and just leave it sitting on there, and it starts to melt on its own. You don't need any further cooking. So this dish is done. I'll bring you in for one last shot showing the plated dinner, and that'll be it. I'll see you in just a minute. Alright guys, well here it is. This is it plated. That's Hubster's serving. There's a salad. There's the garlic and herb Italian bread. That's what I'm talking about. That's minced garlic with basil, oregano, just spices, and EVOO. You take that bread, break pieces, and you dip it in there. It's so good. And then here's mine. How beautiful is that? That right there